Fasting is one of the most important religious rituals and is a common practice in many major religions, including Islam, Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism, and Hinduism. It involves abstaining from food, whether from dawn to dusk or in other forms, and has deep symbolic meaning. The purpose of fasting is to focus on the essentials of life and practice self-denial, according to Thomas Lemon, head of Interfaith Dialogue in the Archdiocese of Cologne, Germany. It is a way to explore new dimensions of humanity or connect with God. While the practice of fasting is shared among major religions, where did it originate? For both spiritual and religious reasons, fasting has been part of human tradition since prehistoric times. It is mentioned in ancient religious texts such as the Upanishads, Hindu sacred texts, the Bible Old and New Testaments, the Quran, the Talmud, the Jewish religious code, and the Mahabharata, an Indian mythological text. In Christianity, fasting is linked to the celebration of Lent and Easter, which vary depending on the beginning of spring and the lunar calendar. The tradition originates from the biblical story of Jesus spending 40 days in the desert, where he prayed, fasted, and resisted temptation. When Jesus returned, his spirit was strengthened. This religious event has become a guiding tradition, observed from Ash Wednesday, which marks the beginning of Lent, until Easter Sunday, when Christians celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. Easter commemorates the resurrection of Jesus and is always celebrated on a Sunday, following the biblical account of the Last Supper, Jesus' final meeting with his disciples before his crucifixion. Holy Week, therefore, is a Christian commemoration of the Passion of Jesus, marking the last week of his life, and today symbolizes penance and transition, often observed through voluntary abstention from meat. In Islam, fasting is observed during Ramadan, where Muslims abstain from eating, drinking, smoking, and sexual activity from dawn to dusk. Unlike Lent, Ramadan lasts between 29 and 30 days and is a time of reflection, aimed at fostering spiritual growth and a deeper connection with Allah. Ramadan begins with the sighting of the crescent moon, marking the beginning of the lunar calendar month, which can vary from year to year. This year, Ramadan began on April 2 and ended on May 2, culminating in the celebration of Eid al-Fitr, the festival that marks the end of the fast. The name Ramadan comes from Ramad, meaning scorching heat, and the practice predates Islam, having been observed by ancient Arab communities. Muslims believe that the angel Gabriel appeared to the Prophet Muhammad in 610 AD, revealing the Quran, the holy book of Islam. This revelation, known as Laylat al-Qadr, the Night of Power, is celebrated during Ramadan. Fasting is obligatory for all Muslims except those who are pregnant, sick, elderly, traveling, or menstruating, who must make up the missed days later. In Judaism, fasting is central to Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, which symbolizes spiritual reflection, prayer, repentance, and charity. Yom Kippur means Day of Atonement and marks the end of the Jewish high holidays, which begin with Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. Yom Kippur, celebrated on the 10th day of Tishri, the first month of the calendar year and the 7th month of the religious year, is a day of fasting and abstinence from activities such as bathing, using perfume, or wearing leather shoes. While it is difficult to pinpoint the exact origins of fasting as a religious symbol, there is evidence of its practice among Native American tribes, ancient Greece, and pre-Columbian Peru. Throughout history, abstinence from bodily pleasures has been associated with spiritual introspection. A key aspect of fasting is also the cultivation of gratitude, as it helps people appreciate what is often taken for granted. At its core, the act of fasting, across all major religions, continues to symbolize a time of self-reflection, spiritual connection, and gratitude.